Welcome. I'm back because this is a moment that we have all been waiting for. By the way, please bear with me because there's 2,300 plus pages of legal documents that have been released, and I'm at like page 500, and I'm just getting to the portion of all the DNA images of the sheath, and I'm very concerned. I'm very worried. This is just going to be a short video following up on some of these documents, guys, regarding the knife sheath. First of all, and I will post it on the thumbnail when I'm done. Okay, we've been waiting for the picture of the knife sheath, right? So I'll post it on the thumbnail. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? There's two of them. They look completely different. They look completely different. There's images of two different knife sheaths and they're different sizes. And like they look brand spanking new. They look brand spanking new. And we know because we've gone through the legal documents that Moscow police purchased a brand new K-bar sheath from Amazon, right? So we are aware of that. Why do they look so off? And if you guys have not seen it, again, I'll post it in the thumbnail. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you, Nadine, for sharing your thoughts. It's weird as hell. We're supposed to believe that this sheath was chilling in bed, in the same bed where two people have supposedly been horrifically unalived. And we know that there was supposedly red fluid all over. And we're supposed to believe that this like foot long sub sandwich of a K-bar sheath was just chilling, supposedly laying underneath Maddie's body. Where's the blood? Where's the red fluid? No effing way that this shit of a sheath was underneath Maddie. I'm sorry. I'm not buying it. If it was underneath Maddie and we know how wounded she was, how's it possible that there's like no red fluid? How's that possible? Also, if it was underneath Maddie, then they wouldn't have been able to see it, right? They wouldn't have been able to see the sheath unless they what? Unless they move the bodies. So they're lying. Hey, voluntarism. Hey, Linda. Hey, bruh. And if it had been under Maddie, they wouldn't have been able to see it. If they move the bodies, which again, going back to the documents, it's extremely shady that they never really mentioned when they actually saw the sheath. Because the detective just put in the document sometime later. Just sometime later. When later? You're supposed to be descriptive in these legal documents regarding quadruple homicides. Just sometime later, as if it was magically dropped at the crime scene. This is not a sheath that is completely soaked in red fluid. Okay, and I'm gonna post these pictures because don't worry, we have all the images of these knife sheaths. Both of these knife sheaths are a foot long. A foot long knife sheath. You can see it, there's a ruler next to it. It's a foot long of a knife sheath. He just left. He just left. Remember, the lights were on. He didn't see that? And this sheath has no red fluid on it. How weird is that? Where is Maddie's red fluid? It's brew. Spelled brew. Thank you. Hey, ass man. How is there not one effing drop of red fluid? So yeah, Brian Koberger walked in there, didn't know the house, didn't know the layout, didn't know the victims, have never had any previous experience with any of them, didn't know what he was about to encounter at 1122 King Road. All these four fairly large, fairly athletic individuals, right? He didn't know any of that. and then got out of the house under 10 minutes. Okay. Without dropping any DNA, no red fluid, no fibers of his clothing, nothing found in his apartment, no actual DNA except for some touch DNA that was magically found inside of the snap button of the sheath. That the sheath now we see is magically clean, no red fluid. How is it that Maddie's deceased body was on top of this for supposedly hours, right? Because it was at least 8 hours since the cops were called. Because we know Bethany and Dylan were not asleep. We know they were awake, but they didn't call the cops, right? So the bodies were on top of the sheath for at least 8 hours. Way more if the crime was actually committed at 4, right? Or before that, I mean. And no blood. You know what it's looking like? It kind of looks like, again, referring back to the documents, the sheath was then found later. It's almost as if they just kind of ploop, drop the sheath, ploop, in a random day, hour, right by Maddie. Yeah, and you're right. We can't forget that Idaho purchased a K-bar knife with the sheath. And I get it because supposedly they did it for comparison. For comparison, right? But we don't know if they even actually found a real sheath. We're just going with what they're telling us, right? They only found one skin cell inside of the snap button. And I've shown you guys my own K-bar from when I was in the military. It's huge. And it has so many crevices around the leather. There's stitching to hold the sheath together, right? There was no DNA in that stitching? Weird. Weird. Why is it so clean? That should be uh a question, right? Because it was under a person. And when we look at the images of the mattresses, okay, the mattress was literally soaked in red fluid. I personally don't think that with the amount of red fluid they said was present and the number of stab wounds, there's no way that the entire area underneath both of them wasn't filled with red fluid. Maybe the sheath wouldn't be completely soaked, but you would have some red fluid of Maddie on the sheath, some DNA. It's not going to be completely clean. No way. No way. And you know what's very strange? That should raise an eyebrow, even if you think, oh, maybe it was found under lower of her legs and she didn't have any stab wounds there. Blah 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 blah. If you want to go with that theory, that's fine. But you know what's crazy? And you know what should raise your fucking should grab your attention? That there's no pictures of the sheath on the bed. There's no pictures of the sheath on the bed. This is not our first rodeo, guys. This is not our first rodeo. We know that when people go in there to investigate a crime, you're not supposed to really move the bodies, babe, until you take pictures of the crime scene. You're supposed to take pictures, especially if there is a fucking piece of evidence like a sheath. You're supposed to take pictures of the sheath on the bed. You don't just bag it. You don't just throw it in a Ziploc baggie. Right? You don't just pick it up and say, oh my God, look, found a sheath. No, you're supposed to walk the entire perimeter of the crime scene, take pictures of everything before you start touching shit, before you start moving shit. Why are there no pictures of the sheath on the bed? That should be concerning, right? You know, it's also strange that there were some unexplained deleted photos, right? They supposedly took pics of Maddie and Kaylee, but they didn't see the sheath the first round. So they ended up moving to another area. So I guess that when they planted the knife, they tried to delete photos so that they would sync up, right? But then they effed up because the numbers don't change when you delete one. So it's kind of obvious, in my opinion, of what they did, right? This case was so easy to fight. What the actual fuck? After seeing these images, I'm like, what in the world is going on? Okay. And it just kind of makes me wonder, is this like a test? Is this a test for all of us, for society? Like to find out who's stupid and who's low IQ and who is easily manipulated by any bullshit? Or is Brian Koberger maybe playing his role as an undercover agent? Um, I pray that he just didn't go down for this crime, because the fact that we have now these images released, and the fact that we don't have any images that were taken of the sheath at the crime scene on the mattress, fucking weird. Not a photo of the sheath on the bed where they found it. What? What? It's like, bro, they could have at least tried. Come on, Moscow PD. You know, if you're going to be sketchy as you have been in the past, and they have been sketchy in the past, right? I've talked about the whole Stickergate incident over there. What was all that about? Oh, yeah, cops hiding fucking evidence, right? They could have at least tried harder. If you're going to do something fucking stupid and try to gaslight all of us, God, like at least try. At least try. Right? Like when I saw these pictures, I literally cackled because there's no motherfucking way. There's no way. Perfectly clean. Perfectly clean. And you know what's crazy? When I asked about the sheath years ago, and I asked, how come there's no pictures of the sheath? What would they say? What were the guilters saying? It was too bloody to be shown. It's too gory to be shown. I'm confused. Where? 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 Can somebody please recheck for me the dates that Payne ordered the sheath from Amazon? Somebody please check for me. Thank you. The thing that doesn't make sense to me is, how did he leave the house with a knife without having the sheath? Did he just hold a bloody knife in his hand and leave? And if so, where's the blood trail? Where is the blood trail? Did he just put it in his pocket? Either way, he would have known he was missing a sheath like immediately, right? Right? And if the perpetrator had to put the knife into his pocket or just hold it on the way out, not only did he miraculously not cut himself at all, but also he didn't get any fluid, any blood from this supposed uh giant ass knife in his vehicle. How did the sheath even come off? Because people were originally saying, well, it's hooked onto his belt, right? And people kept saying that one of the girls had yanked it off of him during the attack. But if that was the case, then I think there would have been bloody footprints on this brand new looking sheath, being they were both covered in red fluid, including their hands, right? And then Dylan didn't see him, right? I'm wondering, like, what are these families thinking now? What are these families thinking? Like, no freaking way the sheath was under a victim. I call baloney. And I think there's some people that call us, oh, we're a bunch of conspiracy theorists and we're not paying attention. It's like, no, I think you're not paying attention. You need to open up your eyes. Um, but again, statistically speaking, and when you've studied psychology, you know that people don't um, typically change their views even when presented with evidence to suggest otherwise. Unfortunately, for people with brain cells, right? And I'm like, excuse me while I pick my jaw off the floor, because like, what the fuck? After seeing these pictures, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And when we look at the chart of the injuries, Kaylee and Maddie's injuries are almost in the exact same areas of the body. And then we look at Ethan and Xana's injuries, they're almost in the exact same areas. They should be, by that alone, looking into at least two assailants, right? And I talked about this before, but if you guys saw the interview with Brian Koberger's neighbor, where the neighbor mentioned something that Brian Koberger and someone who had a sleeve tattoo were talking outside of the apartment. Guess who has a full sleeve tattoo? Brett Payne. Brett Payne. Does Brett Payne ride a Harley? Because the neighbor said the guy left on a motorcycle, not a street bike, but like a Harley, I think. I'm telling y'all, I think these are my opinions, by the way. My theories are for entertainment purposes only, but I think that this sheath is looking more and more like it was planted. It's looking like it was planted. It's looking to me like they, for whatever reason, were trying to frame Brian Koberger. And when we put this with uh the fact that they found one skin cell inside the button, how magical, and there's nothing else on this sheath whatsoever, no DNA of the victims whatsoever. There should be some DNA of the victims at least. Nope, perfectly clean except for a tiny cell of Brian Koberger. And then we go to the old 4chan post and they're like, oh, the shithole, I'm hiding in shithole PA or something like that. Why were they trying to frame Brian Koberger from day one? This is looking like the killer tried to frame Brian with the sheath, with the comments that were made anonymously on the 4chan, pointing potentially investigators to look in PA. It looks like this sheath was strategically placed there before they left, before the assailants left, right? This is definitely a new K bar, I think. Um, or that's what it looks like to me. Um, That's what it looks like to me. I have a K bar. The leather looks way too smooth on this K bar. Even if it's not bloodied up, the leather changes texture. It gets rough, it gets older looking. This looks like brand new leather. Again, try harder. If you're gonna plant something, like at least add more red stuff to make it look legit. What the hell's going on here? The guilters are the ones that have been saying the house isn't covered in red fluid because the mattress soaked it all up. Okay, then go ahead and explain, why is she so clean on a red fluid soaked bed? Explain yourselves. Explain yourselves. I want to see the body cam footage of where they found the sheath. There's absolutely no way. This is looking like it was planted. This looks brand new, like directly fresh off the press machine. Like, I'm done. I'm done. Hey Suds. Hey Joyful Dolphin. Hey Jane. Hey Lily. Hey Annie. Who's in here? I forgot about the chat. I'm sorry. I just get so passionate. Hey, how's it? Voluntarism is the answer. That's too damn long, babe. You gotta. Can I call you V? I'm gonna call you V. Oh God, they could have gotten the sheath from Kopaka's apartment. Aunt Clara. G family mad about Lifetime movie because they won't be involved and receive no moolah. Terrible, terrible. Joyful Dolphin agrees that it was planted. Mandy says, yes, it's sickening. No amount of money or university is worth the BS justice. BK's a magician and super ninja. Family's sadly making money. They don't want that to end. Hey, Lisa. Lisa says, seriously, and didn't even try. That's what it's looking like. Ooh, V says, oh, I mean, I was a guilter until so recently, and it was hard finding my footing. The Ashley Banstools out there never mentioned his name, and so no idea what was going on till this side after the plea. Interesting. So what made you change your mind from guilter to not? Because most people, statistically speaking, don't change their mind. Please share. What made you come to the other side? Yeah, Nadine, right? You're not supposed to walk around without gloves and all over the prints, without booties. Crazy. Hey, Kivik from Finland. Oh, so cool. Welcome, welcome. Nadine says, that's so planted on there. They took Opaka down and then blamed it all on BK. He was next on the list. Why do you think BK, though? I'm curious. Please share. Either way, guys, thank you guys for joining me again. Let me know if you think this looks new, please vote. Please don't vote in the chat. Please vote in the comment section to help promote the algorithm. If you think that this sheath looks brand new, if you've seen the images, please leave a 1. If you think that it's clean for another reason, please leave a 2. Thank you guys for voting. Let me know your thoughts on these sheaths. But you guys know my thoughts, right? Because ice cream bullshit. Ice cream bullshit. I'm sorry. Not sorry. I'm calling BS, okay? So after seeing this, I'm like, bro, try harder, man. Come on, Moscow PD. And I have the list here before I go of the things that were purchased by Moscow PD, right? Item 733, Amazon K-Bar purchased by ISP. Item 734, Amazon K-Bar sharpener purchased by ISP. Amazon item 735, Amazon supplements purchased by ISP. Why did you need to buy a K-Bar sharpener? When did you buy this? Weird. So let me know your guys' thoughts. Thank you guys for joining me. Have a happy Sunday. Take care and see you guys soon. Bye-bye.